Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. US tariffs unfair and unjust, says Minister Kirtivardhan Singh. Asserts Indian economy's strength and resilience to overcome the hard times. PM Modi to visit Japan on August 29th to participate in the 15th annual summit, focus on strengthening economic and strategic partnership. Iran says return of IAEA inspectors doesn't mark full resumption of cooperation with the UN nuclear body, adds cooperation framework with the IAEA still under discussion. And Defence Minister Rajnath Singh calls for strengthening India's cyber infrastructure, asserts future wars will be a combined play of technology, intelligence, economy and diplomacy. So next level of investment and trade cooperation will be on agenda when Prime Minister Narendra Modi visits Japan. Our next report looks at the robust partnership between the two economic powerhouses of Asia.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be on a two-day visit to Japan from 29 to 30th August. In Tokyo, Prime Minister will engage with his Japanese counterpart, Shigeru Ishiba, in the 15th India-Japan Annual Summit. While India and Japan share civilizational ties, economic cooperation forms the bedrock of their modern partnership. Prime Minister's visit is expected to give a new fillip to India-Japan economic relationship, particularly in the domain of trade, investment and cooperation in semiconductors and emerging technologies. The comprehensive economic partnership agreement between the two nations has significantly strengthened the bilateral trade, with over 1,400 Japanese companies operating in India and 11 industrial townships across 8 states hosting Japanese enterprises. Earlier on Wednesday, PM flagged off the e-Vitara, Suzuki's first made-in-India global strategic battery electric vehicle in Gujarat. These vehicles made in India will be exported to 100 countries. Expectations are high for Indian and Japanese businesses from Prime Minister Modi's visit.
When both our PMs meet, the key expectation is a roadmap for next generation cooperation, especially in clean energy, digital technology and supply chain security. With global uncertainties, both countries can set a model of democratic economic partnership. Strengthening defense and semiconductor collaboration will also be high on the agenda.
I believe the Japan-India partnership is necessity. Prime Minister Modi's visit will encourage more Japanese firms to collaborate with India.
India offers a young workforce and a large market, which supports Japan's economy. Together, our cooperation brings stability and prosperity.
Japan has been a key ally in India's economic growth. Foreign direct investment from Japan has exceeded $43 billion between 2000 and 2024, making it India's 5th largest source of foreign investment. India-Japan bilateral trade totaled $22.85 billion during financial year 23-24. Exports from Japan to India during this period were $17.69 billion and imports were $5.15 billion. Metro systems in Delhi, Ahmedabad, Bengaluru and Chennai and the upcoming Mumbai-Ahmedabad high-speed rail reflect the potential of India-Japan economic partnership. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Japan is expected to open up new exciting avenues of growth and investment. In an era of geopolitical uncertainties and tariff diplomacy, India and Japan show the roadmap for democracies to partner and thrive together. With camera person Shailendra Chauhan, Shubhendu Ghosh for DD India in Tokyo.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to visit Japan from 29th to 30th of August. India and Japan are close economic and strategic partners. DD India's Shubhendu Ghosh speaks with Indian Ambassador to Japan, Sibi George, on the significance of the Prime Minister's visit.
Ambassador to Japan, Ambassador Sibi George. Welcome to DD India, sir. What will be Prime Minister Modi's key engagements during this visit?
Thank you very much. When you look at India-Japan relationship, we have excellent relationship. We have a civilizational connect, we have a cultural connect. You go in this country, any part of the country, you will see that there is an India connect. And based on that solid foundation is that we have built our relationship. So, in this annual summit, what is it special? We have seen significant progress in our relationship in the last 10, 11 years in that relationship. It is special, it is strategic, it is global, and it is a real partnership. We have seen progress. So the leadership will review that progress and of course give a new roadmap to take that relationship to further higher levels.
There's a lot of excitement around the bullet train project that is taking shape in India with support from Japan. What can we expect? Will that also be the focus of conversations between the leaders?
See, there are several elements in this relationship. You know, as I mentioned, economic partnership is a very important part of our engagement. And there are other elements which have been building our relationship, infrastructure projects. So many Japanese companies have participated in various infrastructure projects in India. One of such projects is our MAHSR project. And we are making progress in that project. In 2027, we will have a train running on the Ahmedabad-Mumbai project.
Emerging technologies, semiconductor manufacturing and the supply chain is another focus area. Can we expect some progress in that domain as well in this visit?
See, when you look at our relationship, it is a quite comprehensive, very broad relationship, which involves several aspects. One, our traditional business engagement. There are other major elements in our relationship: semiconductors, quantum computing, critical technology, drones, robotics, space. There are so many areas where we are cooperating at every level. Semiconductor is a very important area. India is making so much progress in and investment in that area, and Japan is also doing it.
We understand they're also part of the Quad grouping. Although this is a bilateral visit, in strategic defense and developments, what could be the areas in focus?
We have seen that India and Japan have been working very closely in various plurilateral mechanisms. They both are members of G20. We participate, we actively engage in various plurilateral mechanisms, and one of that is Quad. And Quad is very important because four like-minded countries have to come together with a common vision for peace, stability, security, and prosperity in the region, and with concrete ideas. So we are making progress in that. And of course, these are the plurilateral engagement will also continue to be part of our engagement between India and Japan.
That was India's ambassador to Japan talking about Prime Minister's upcoming visit to Tokyo and the manner in which it will provide.
All right. The Confederation of Indian Industry is holding the 20th India-Africa Business Summit in New Delhi with participants from more than 64 African countries. The summit was inaugurated by Union Minister of State for External Affairs, Kirtiwardhan Singh. Speaking to DD India, the minister said that India and Africa share deep historical ties, and the trade between both the countries have crossed $100 billion mark.
Africa has always been a trading partner for centuries. Traders from Surat, traders from Gujarat have always been following the trade winds, going to the African continent, and vice versa. Our diaspora in Africa is quite large in number, and also well settled. They are well integrated into not only the social structure, not only in the political structure, but most importantly in the business environment. We have very important companies which are represented in Africa. We have very strong trade relations. Our bilateral trade with Africa has crossed the $100 billion mark and is going to continue to grow even faster, even at a faster pace now on.
Speaking on US tariff on India, the minister called it selective, unfair and unjust, adding that Indian economy is strong and resilient and it will sail through this temporary tide.
India has always actively been exploring other markets. It's true that the US has imposed very unjustified and unfair tariffs on us. The reasons, of course, which they say are very questionable. There are many other countries who are also supplementing their energy needs from the same part of the world we are doing, but they have not been imposed with such tariffs. So, of course, it is selective, it is unjustified, and it is unfair. But our economy, under the honorable leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji, has grown to be the fourth largest economy in the world today, and we are very soon going to be the third largest. Our economy is strong, our economy is resilient, and will definitely tide over this temporary disturbance that has come about in terms of tariff impositions.
Global trade expert and analyst Ajay Srivastava also called US tariffs as unfair targeting of India on account of buying oil from Russia. He added Indian economy is growing at 6 to 7% annually, and in just few months' time, India can largely contain the impact of US tariffs.
Our exports are just 20% of Indian economy, and Indian market is very big. It absorbs 80% of Indian production, and there is scope for further absorption of this because Indian economy is growing at 6 to 7% annually. So it can happily absorb some of the shocks in these sectors. And second, and great option is searching for other countries to divert some of the exports which we cannot export to the US. And for this, government is making an effort to expedite FTAs with this European Union, and we already signed an agreement with UK. So efforts are on to implement that quickly. A few more FTAs like with Peru and other countries are on the line. So with all these things, we hope that in few months' time, we can largely contain the adverse impact of US tariffs.
Meanwhile, Americans' view of the US economy declined modestly in August as anxiety over a weakening job market grew for the 8th straight month. The Conference Board, a US non-profit research organization, said on Tuesday that its consumer confidence index ticked down 1.3 points to 97.4 in August, down from 98.7 in July, while concerns about price hikes due to President Trump's sweeping tariffs also persisted. Moving on, trade between the EU and the US continues to be sputtering, even though the two sides recently signed a trade agreement with Brussels agreeing to many of Washington's demands. Lars Holter is with Deutsche Welle and joins me from Berlin now. Lars, what's behind the ongoing problems?
Thanks for having me. Yes, it's frustrating. It's been months now that US President Donald Trump has disrupted trade around the world by levying rather random tariffs on almost every country. Weeks of uncertainty followed. A few trade agreements were signed, even though agreement was a big word for what was often not much more than a memorandum of understanding. One of the major deals, though, was between the US and the EU, and it came under fire pretty much as soon as it was signed. Many in the European Union were upset that Brussels gave in to many of Washington's demands, including buying billions worth of fracked natural gas. But at least in Brussels, they were celebrating, certain to have a more regulated trade relationship with the US once again. But weeks later now, it turns out that's not the case at all. Initially, the agreement said the US would lower import tariffs, for example, on European cars from 27.5% down to 15%. Then it was unclear when that lowering would actually happen. And just last week, we found out it won't happen anytime soon, despite what the agreement said. And now President Trump points to a seemingly unrelated debate over taxes that might be behind the delay.
Okay, so what are the tax issues playing into this discussion then?
Well, it's an ongoing debate over digital taxes. For years now, the EU had the Digital Services Act and the Digital Markets Act on its books, and they're regulating the activities of online giants within the bloc. And now these online giants are, of course, mostly American companies. There's Google, Alphabet, of course. There's Facebook or Meta. There's Apple, there's Twitter, there's Amazon. The EU says those companies have to pay taxes in Europe on the business they're doing here, which is, of course, a multi-billion-dollar business. So we're talking about a lot of money. Trump, meanwhile, says that these digital taxes are specifically put in place to damage American companies, and he is threatening to escalate the already ongoing trade war by banning high-tech exports to the EU, including exports of chips and other technologies. Now, that is reminding us, of course, of a recent export ban of NVIDIA chips to China. That ban now has lifted once NVIDIA promised to pay the Trump government 15% of its revenue made in China.
Okay, thank you very much, Lars Holter, there reporting from DW Berlin. Still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Germany approves voluntary 6-month military service amid high tensions between NATO and Russia. Another deadly traffic crash in Afghanistan. A bus overturns near capital Kabul, killing at least 25. And India celebrates the festival of Ganesh Chaturthi.
This week on Defense Dynamics, we decode India-France jet engine collaboration. We explain how the Agni 5 test reinforces peace through strength and how INS Himgiri showcases India's indigenous naval power. We also analyze Israel's Rampage missile and how it boosts Indian Air Force's precision strike edge, and why Indian Army Chief's visit to Algeria so important. Sharp insights, clear explanations, Defense Dynamics this Wednesday at 8 p.m. only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I am Tanvi Taneja. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh asserted that India has never initiated aggression against anyone, but if challenged, India would respond strongly. He was addressing the plenary session at the two-day tri-service dialogue on war, warfare and war fighting called Ran Samvad 2025 in Madhya Pradesh. The Ran Samvad aims to enhance interaction, communication and cooperation among military communities on issues critical to war fighting. Emphasizing on the meaning of the event's name, Rajnath Singh said, Ran evokes the sense of battle and conflict, while Samvad refers to dialogue and discussion.
India has never been a nation that seeks war. We have never initiated aggression against anyone. However, the present geopolitical reality is quite different. Even though we do not harbor any aggressive intent, if someone challenges us, it becomes imperative that we respond with strength. To do so, we must continuously enhance our defense preparedness. This is why training, technological advancement, and a sustained dialogue with partners are of utmost importance for us.
Germany is taking a decisive steps to strengthen its defense. On Wednesday, the cabinet approved a draft bill introducing a voluntary 6-month military service aimed at boosting national security amid concerns over Russia. The plan is designed to double the pool of trained reservists, currently about 1 lakh, and to encourage some volunteers to transition into active service. Significantly, the draft also leaves the door open to a possible return of compulsory enlistment, a policy Germany abandoned back in 2011. For years, Berlin has struggled to meet its troop targets. With this move, it signals a sharper focus on readiness and deterrence in a rapidly shifting security environment.
This growth must not be compromised
It is therefore clear that we have a mechanism in the law which states that if the numbers fall, if they are not sufficient to fill the increasing capacities that we will be building up in the coming years, and if this means that the target of 200,000 is in danger of not being achieved, then we will have to set the mechanism in motion. The cabinet will have to decide, and then there will have to be a parliamentary resolution. However, this is also necessary. I want to emphasize this again, because conscription was also repealed by law at the time. So a corresponding equivalent is needed for it to be reinstated.
All right, on to Asia now. Iran has said that the return of International Atomic Energy Agency IAEA inspectors did not mark the full resumption of cooperation with the UN nuclear watchdog, adding that a final framework was still under discussion. Iran held talks on Tuesday with European powers seeking to avert a sanction snapback which they have threatened to impose under the moribund 2015 nuclear deal. The European trio, Britain, France and Germany, parties to the landmark 2015 Iran nuclear deal, have threatened to trigger the accord's snapback mechanism by the end of August. Iranian Deputy Foreign Minister, who attended the talks with Britain, France and Germany in Geneva, said in a post on X that it was high time for the European trio to make the right choice and give diplomacy time and space. Tuesday's meeting was the second round of talks with European diplomats since the end of a 12-day war between Iran and Israel in June, triggered by an unprecedented Israeli surprise attack. At least 25 people were killed and 27 injured when a bus overturned in eastern Afghanistan on Wednesday. The crash happened due to the driver's negligence on a highway near the capital Kabul, leading to the southern city of Kandahar. Interior Ministry spokesman Abdul Mateen Kani said 25 people were killed and 27 were being treated at hospitals for injuries. Last Tuesday, 78 people, including more than a dozen children, were killed in western Herat province when a bus carrying migrants returning from Iran collided with a motorcycle and a truck, authorities said. Back to India. The festival of Ganesh Chaturthi is being celebrated from today, marking the birth of Lord Ganesha, the remover of obstacles and the god of wisdom and prosperity. Special celebrations are taking place in Mumbai with lakhs of devotees thronging at the iconic Lal Bagh Cha Raja. For 10 days, it becomes the heart of Mumbai's celebrations, drawing devotees and visitors from across India and abroad. Devotees also thronged the famous Siddhivinayak temple in Mumbai from early morning to offer their prayers and perform darshan along with their loved ones on the occasion of the festival. Ganesh Chaturthi lasts 10 days. It is marked by prayers and community celebrations culminating in the Visarjan, where idols are immersed in water amid chants and music. This year, Ganesh Visarjan will take place next Saturday, that is September the 6th. President and Prime Minister of India extended their greetings to all Indians residing in the country and abroad on the festival of Ganesh Chaturthi. The Union Cabinet on Wednesday approved the submission of a bid to host Commonwealth Games 2013 Ahmedabad, Gujarat. The decision also includes approval for signing the host collaboration agreement and providing grant in aid to the Gujarat government if the bid is successful. If awarded, Ahmedabad has been proposed as the host city, offering world-class stadiums, cutting-edge training facilities and a strong sporting culture. The city is home to the Narendra Modi Stadium, the largest cricket stadium in the world, which has already proven its capability by successfully hosting the 2023 ICC Cricket World Cup final. The 2030 Games are expected to see participation from 72 countries with thousands of athletes, coaches, technical officials, media personnel and tourists arriving in India. In the US Open 2025, Iga Swiatek and Jannik Sinner cruised to the second round with routine wins. Wimbledon winner Swiatek cruised past Emiliana Arango 6-1, 6-2 in an hour without facing a break point. Swiatek has been in exquisite form since the Cincinnati Open. She will next face Susan Lamons in the next round. In other women's singles action, French Open winner Coco Gauff secured a hard-fought victory over Alja Tomljanovic. Gauff had to dig in a classic three-set thriller to advance into the next round. She will face Donna Vekic in round 2. Meanwhile, top-ranked men's defending champion Yannick Sinner thrashed Whitcop Reeva in straight sets. Sinner eased into the second round, where he will face Australia's Alexei Popyrin. And that's all for this edition of DD India Live. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live. And you can also download our DD India mobile app for quick news and updates on the go. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja from all of us here in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.